Here we go. So, Act 1, Part 2. We are recording. Seems to be working better this time. So, that's fine. Don't worry about that. Okay. Thank you. So, Act 1, Part 2. So, as you mentioned before, Mrs. Burling and Gerald rise. I just want to say this. Are you listening, Sheila? This concerns you too. I'm sorry, Daddy. Actually, I was listening. It's like I was saying, it's quite infantilizing of her. Like, listen to me, I'm your dad. She's very obedient. Ladies, come on, back in, please. Right? She's very obedient. Now, this matters because as the play goes on, she changes quite a lot. So Sheila begins this way, but her characterization, development changes as we go through. Sheila crosses to her chair and sits. She looks attentive, as they all do. Burling holds them for a moment before continuing. I'm delighted about this engagement, and I hope it won't be too long before you're married. And I want to say this. There's a good deal of silly talk about these days, but, and I speak as a hard-headed man of business, a hard-headed businessman, who has to take risks and know what he's about. I say you can ignore all this silly pessimistic talk. Pessimistic is a word which means negative, if you've never heard it before. So there's a lot of chat around these days about things going bad. When you marry, you'll be marrying at a very good time. Yes, a very good time. Soon it'll be an even better time. So notice his just extreme confidence. Right? Last month, just because the miners came out on strike, there's a lot of wild talk about possible labour trouble in the near future. Don't worry, we've passed the worst of it. We employers are at last coming together to see that our interests and the interests of capital, okay, it talks about capitalism, so about money and private ownership, are properly protected. And we're in for a time of steadily increasing prosperity. Okay, so again, prosperity means rising wealth. When you marry, you'll be marrying into a very good time. Yes, a very good time. And soon it will be an even better time. Okay? There's a few good quotes which I like. It's this one here. I speak as a hard-headed businessman. Now, it's weird to describe yourself as that, isn't it? Like, I'm a really, really good businessman. Hard-headed is interesting. It means a few things. Firstly, what it means is that he's stubborn. So his head is hard. He's not easily changed. He's fixed. He's fixed in his views on things. But also, it means that he's potentially quite cruel. Like he maybe lacks empathy for people, right? He's like, I can make the hard decisions, right? I'm good at managing my business. Talks right here, the miners were on strike and labour trouble in the near future. Now, of course, the key word for this, which we're going to use a lot in this play, is a technique that we call dramatic irony. Okay? What that means is it means when the audience knows more than the characters. Okay, got this? We're going to talk about this a lot. Okay, when the audience knows more than the characters. Now, the idea is when you go to a drama, when you go to a play, that normally the audience knows less than the actors because you're there to watch their stories. So the irony is that it is the reverse, it's the wrong way round. So he's saying, oh, there won't be loads of trouble, we'll be really rich. And we're there thinking, there'll be a war in 2 years' time. So we're almost laughing at him, right? This idea that he's a bit of a joke, right? He's a bit of a joke. And we're laughing at him because he's so wrong. Right, let's do some parts, please. Gerald? Yes, please, go on, Max.
I believe you're right, sir.
Right. Eric? Yes, well done.
What about war?
Yeah, what about the war? Right? It's referring to World War One, which has not happened yet. Well, don't interrupt, Eric. I was coming to that. Just because the Kaiser makes a speech or two and a few German officers have too much to drink and begin talking nonsense, you'll hear some people say that war's inevitable. And to that I say, fiddlesticks. Right? So fiddlesticks is a weird way of saying rubbish. Right? Or impossible. So the Kaiser was the leader of Germany. So he was the leader of Germany. It means emperor in Germany. So he says, just because a few people are chatting about war, it's not going to happen. Okay? The Germans don't want war. Right? Nobody wants war, except some half-civilized folks in the Balkans. So he's a bit racist as well. So he says people who live in the Balkans are half-civilized. The Balkans is the area that's like Serbia. If you know your history, you'll know that the First War begins with the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand in the Balkans. You got that?
So was it in Bosnia?
Go on. Yes, exactly.
So wasn't it in Bosnia? Then?
Yeah, like Bosnia, Serbia, all the Balkans is all of that area,
Yeah,
right?
Your father was Bosnia. He was like,
Yeah,
he was right next to Bosnia.
yeah. Nobody wants war. Nobody wants war except some half-civilized. So he says they're like basically like animals in the Balkans. And why? There's too much at stake these days. Everything to lose and nothing to gain by war. Now let's just be very clear here, right? So war is bad for some businesses, right? Some businesses. It's very good if you sell bullets and tanks and cyborg android machine killing things. They weren't available in the First World War. But if you make weaponry, it's very good. But it's bad for most business. Because what happens is, the people you employ go off and fight at war. Nobody can afford your things anymore. So Mr. Burling says that essentially there won't be a war because too many businesses will lose out. Which is true. But again, he is also wrong. Eric.
Yes, I know. But still.
Let me finish, Eric. Is it annoying how Eric is just dominating this scene, right? Let me finish. You've a lot to learn yet. I'm talking as a hard-headed, practical man of business, right? He says it twice, right? So this is repeated. Now, normally when people repeat things about themselves, they do it for one of two reasons. Number one, they really believe it about themselves. Number two, they really want other people to think it about them, right? If I came in here and I was like, I'm so good at football, I'm amazing, I'm a really good striker, right? The weekend I scored like 4 or 5 goals, thinking, why is he banging on about it? Right? If he was really that good about it, he wouldn't be talking about it. So there's a sense here again about his sort of insecurity, that he wants people to think of him as being this, hard-headed, right? You can't sway me. I do what I want. I don't change my mind. And I say there isn't a chance of war. The world's developing so fast that it will make war impossible. Look at the progress we're making. In a year or two, we'll have aeroplanes that will be able to go anywhere. And look at the way the automobile is making headway, bigger and faster all the time. And then ships. Why, a friend of mine went over to this new liner last week, 46,800 tons, New York in 5 days, and every luxury, and unsinkable, absolutely unsinkable. So he's talking about the Titanic. So notice, right? Titanic. So he's saying that technology, right? That technology is growing so fast, but who benefits from technology? Who's riding on the Titanic? Who's flying in planes? Who's driving cars? The rich. So the benefit is to the rich. Now, ironically, planes and cars planes and cars and ships are also used in war. And in fact, the reason why the Germans, again, if you know your history, was when they invented these new battleships, all the old wooden ships became irrelevant. They battled to have the most ships. So what he thinks will stop war actually makes wars happen. So again, he is completely, absolutely wrong, right? He is completely wrong. But he talks like he knows everything. That's what you've got to keep your eye on. Facts like that. Progress like that. Facts. Progress. And not a few German officers talking nonsense and a few scaremongers making a fuss about nothing. Now you three young people, listen to this and remember what I'm telling you now. In 20 or 30 years time, let's say, in the 40s, you may be giving a little party like this. Your son or daughter might be getting engaged. And I tell you, by that time, you'll be living in a world that has forgotten all these capital versus labour agitations, all these silly little war scares. There'll be peace and prosperity and rapid progress everywhere. Except, of course, in Russia, which will always be behindhand naturally. He says that the Russians are uncivilized and backwards. So again, he's still a bit racist or xenophobic. Now, ironically, the Russians in 1945 have got a communist state, right? And in 1917, the Russians have a revolution and become a communist country. Okay, but look at this, right? In the 40s, so the 40s is World War II. So again, he's completely wrong. His view of the world is completely backwards. He says that in 30 years' time, the world will be perfect, right? Peace, prosperity, right? There'll be no more strikes. So this here is about strikes. Strikes. There'll be no silly war scares. Here we go. So the idea is, again, what we've got is dramatic irony, or DI as I call it. So the audience knows that we have two world wars. So we have 2 times world wars, right? We have many, many strikes. We have a Great Depression. So his views are totally wrong. So the whole point of this is to highlight his arrogance. Remember that Mr. Burling doesn't matter. What matters, Freddie, is that he is a symbol of wealth. So what happens is his views symbolize the arrogance of the rich, that they believe that they are untouchable, that they will never lose their power. Mrs. Burling. Anyone in Mrs. Burling? Yes, go on.
Yes, dear, I know.
Yes, my dear, I know. I'm talking too much. But we can't let these Bernard Shaws and H.G. Wells do all the talking. So these are what we call, these are liberal thinkers. So people who are socialists, right? We can't let these people do all the talking and scare us. We hard-headed practical businessmen, 3 times, right? He says it. Must say something sometime. And we don't guess, we've had experience. And we know, right? I am the arbiter of all knowledge. The businessmen know the truth. Mrs. B.
Yes, of course, dear. Well, don't keep Gerald in here too long. Eric, I want you in there.
Yeah, so she's sort of like, yes, dear. Okay, dear. Yes, that's very nice. Blah, 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 blah. Right? So she's quite sort of, I think she's quite tired of this. I get the feeling that he just does this all the time. He's like, listen to me, I've got some opinions I want to share. Listen to me. Right? I think she's a bit sick of it, really. Mrs. Burling and Sheila and Eric go out. Burling and Gerald sit down again. Cigar?
No thanks, I can't really enjoy them.
Oh, you don't know what you're missing. I like a good cigar. Again, a cigar is a symbol of wealth. So he's like, I smoke cigars because they're expensive, right? I love cigars. Help yourself to port. Help yourself to port.
Thanks.
Mr. Burling lights his cigar, and Gerald, who has lit a cigarette, helps himself to port, then pushes the decanter to Burling. By the way, there's something I'd like to mention in strict confidence, meaning in secret, while we're by ourselves. I have an idea that your mother, Lady Croft, while she doesn't object to my girl, feels you might have done better for yourself socially. So he's worried. He's worried that he thinks that Gerald's parents don't approve of the marriage. Says that my girl is not good enough for you, right? He uses the word here, better for yourself socially. By that he means that it's an issue of her class, that his daughter is not high enough class for Gerald, and Lady Croft is like, oh, you're marrying the middle class girl, are you? Gerald is embarrassed. He begins to murmur some dissent, but Burling checks him. No, Gerald, that's all right. Don't blame her. She comes from an old county family, landed people and so forth. So upper class. And it's only natural. But that's what I wanted to say this. There's a fair chance that I might find my way into the next honours list. Just the knighthood, of course. Okay? So he thinks he's in for a elevation to the upper class. He thinks the king is going to knight him. Arise, Sir Arthur Burling, Knight of the Round Table. Right? So you'll become a Sir. Okay? Gerald.
Oh, I see. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thanks. It's a bit too early for that. So don't anything. But I've had a hint or two. You see, I was Lord Mayor here 2 years ago when royalty visited us. Right? So again, notice that again he has power. So what we have here is we have business plus government. Right? So when he's Lord Mayor, is he passing laws to try and make things better for workers? No. The word we use for this, by the way, is corruption. When the government can be bought by business, it's corruption. Right? The government's job is to look out for the people. If the person running the government is a businessman, he's not doing his job properly, he's protecting himself. And I've always been regarded as a sound, useful party man. Right? So this is quite interesting. Now when he says party man, what he's referring to, of course, is the Tory party. So he says, I always follow the line, right? I always do my duty. So what I gather is a very good chance of knighthood, so long as we behave ourselves, don't get into the police court or start a scandal. What's my favourite word? Very good. So, as long as nothing bad happens, I'm going to get a knighthood. So what's guaranteed to happen? Something bad, yeah. Laughs complacently. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. I'm going to be knighted unless something bad happens. Ha 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 ha.
You seem to be a very well-behaved family to me.
Ooh, I think we are.
So if that's the only obstacle, sir, I think you well accept my congratulations now.
Right, so again, super confident. Right? Now again, these guys have been knocked off their perches. Thank you. No, I couldn't do that. Don't say anything yet.
I say, could I say something to my mother about this? I know she'd be delighted.
Well, when she comes back, you might drop a hint to her. They both laugh. Ha 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 ha. Eric enters.
What, started telling stories yet?
Yeah, look, start telling your stories yet. So again, he's very disrespectful to his dad. He's like, oh, my dad is like a big loudmouth telling his stories. No, want another glass of port?
His children middle class as well.
No, well, they're sort of upper middle class. They're a bit of both. But think of it more in terms of money. They're born into money. Their dad is middle class, the mum is upper class.
They're basically upper class.
Yeah, pretty much. Want another glass of port?
Yes, please. Mother says we mustn't take too long, but I don't think it matters. I let them talking about clothes again. You think a girl had never had any clothes before she gets married? Women are potty.
Yeah, potty about them. Potty meaning obsessed, right? Now, Eric is our classic. I find this word hard to spell. Misogynist. There we go. He's a misogynist. He hates women, and he drops it subtly. He's like, "Oh, women talking about clothes again, right? You know what they're like? Clothes. They love clothes, right?" So he's a misogynist, right? He thinks that women are different from men. He thinks that they are unworthy of being in the same area. Yes, but you've got to remember, my boy, that clothes means something quite different to a woman. Not just something to wear, and not only something to make them look prettier, but, well, a sort of sign or token of their self-respect. Again, so where does he get it from? He gets it from his dad, right? Now, don't be confused, Eric. Those clothes they wear are the entire reason they exist, is to look pretty and to have self-respect. In other words, a woman's value is based on her appearance. Gerald?
That's true.
That's true. He agrees as well, right? All the men agree that women should look pretty and be quiet. Eric?
Yes, I remember.
But he checks himself. Ooh. He was going to say something and he stops. So again, we've got a sense that there is something that he's hiding, right? He's like, yeah, I remember the time. What do you remember?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Sounds a bit fishy to me.
Yeah, to me too, Gerald, right? Something's going on. Well, you don't know what some of these boys get up to nowadays. More money to spend and time to spare than I had when I was Eric's age. They worked as hard in those days, right? This is good. So again, we get a sense here that he used to be poor, right? So he used to be working class. He says, my lad doesn't have to work. He just has his money and goes around. There's a sense here that he's been up to some sort of trouble / crime, potentially. Okay, Gerald? Sorry, even though then we broke out and had a bit of fun sometimes.
I'll bet you did.
Oh, well, this is the point. I don't want to lecture you two young fellows again, but what so many of you don't seem to understand now, when things are so much easier, okay, is that man has to make his own way, has to look after himself. Right, here we go. Here is the man's politics. And his family too, of course, when he has one. And so long as he does that, he won't come to too much harm. But the way some of these cranks talk and write now, you'd think everybody has to look after everybody else. As if we're all mixed up together, like bees in a hive. Right, here we go. Here we have our politics, right? Capitalism versus socialism. So he says, all that matters is looking out for you, right? You look after yourself. You make yourself good, look after your family, screw everybody else, right? There's a bit of chatter these days about how everyone has to look out for everybody else. Like we're all bees in a hive, like we're all working together. A man has to mind his own business and look after himself and his own. And, ding dong,
Somebody at the front door.
ooh. Now notice, the door rings in the middle of this speech. So it interrupts his speech, right? So again, we have this idea of him being very selfish. And the doorbell rings. Ding dong. Someone's at the door.
Somebody at the front door.
All right, Eric. Edna will answer it. But it's beneath him to answer the door. We'll have another glass of port. Gerald, and then we'll join the ladies. That'll stop me giving you good advice. Right? So, ha, because it's all bad. Eric?
Yes, you piled it on a bit tonight, Father.
Yeah, so you've piled on a bit tonight, so you've gone on a little bit, right? Piled it on means to sort of go on a bit. Special occasion. And feeling contented for once. So he feels satisfied, right? Life is good. Everything is good. I wanted you to have the benefit of my experience. Edna enters. Please, sir. Yes. An inspector's called. An inspector? What kind of inspector? A police inspector. He says his name's Inspector Ghoul. Ghoul. A police inspector. He says his name's Inspector Ghoul. I don't know him. What does he want to see me? Does he want to see me? Yes, sir. He says it's important. All right, Edna. Show him in here. It may be something about a warrant. I'm still on the bench. I love this bit. This bit is so good, and it skips people by so often, right? So notice this, right? First of all, the guy's name is Ghoul, okay, which sounds a bit like the word ghoul, which sounds a bit like a sort of a ghost. And of course, his job is to haunt the family. He haunts them and he plagues them. But Mr. Burling thinks that when a police inspector comes to see him, he could never be in trouble. There's an idea here that he is above the law, right? Most people, when the police come around, they go, oh my God, what have I done? What have you done? Eric, what have you done? Sheila, what have you done? He just goes, it must be about a warrant. I'm still on the bench. So he's a judge as well, right? So he works in the courts. So the police come to him for a warrant, right? Notice this. I don't know him, right? How does he say that? I'm gone mad, right? I don't know him there. So the idea is that he knows the police, right? So again, we get a sense of his power. This is his power. So he's the Lord Mayor, and he's a judge, and he's a businessman. So the corruption of this man is crazy. But he doesn't think that he can be in trouble, right? Something about a warrant. So the key thing is, we'll add this down, final note before we do our summaries. So he doesn't think he could break the law, right? He makes the law. So he can't possibly be in trouble. So you get a really nice thing in this scene of just this guy's arrogance, right? He thinks he knows everything. He thinks that the world is great, that he's going to be successful. There's no way it could possibly go wrong for him and his family. And when the police come round, he says, oh, it must be they need me to do a warrant. Okay? So we get a really nice taste of him as a character.